You are listening to Ace Comicals. I'm Greg, and today I'm joined by my co-host Leon. Let's go! Merry Christmas! If you are listening to this, it is now either 3 PM or later on Christmas Eve 2018. Welcome to Christmas with Ace Comicals. Today I am joined by my co-host Leon.
Merry Christmas.
And our guest Marv.
Season's greetings.
And yes, so this is an interruption to your usual scheduled Christmas entertainment. There will be no playing of It's a Wonderful Life. There will be no Die Hard. Right now we're here to talk about some 2018 Christmas holiday special comics that have been released and to try and get you into the Christmas spirit. So come sit by the fire with us, pour yourself a glass of eggnog or your poison of choice, and let's go, guys. Let's get into the Christmas spirit. So just before we move on to the comics, I just wanted to sort of briefly what have we been doing to get into the Christmas spirit?
Working.
Wow.
Christmas hasn't... No time to think about Christmas until actual Christmas.
I'm going to give that a hard second. I have been working. My days off have been spent trying to sort out present stuff. And literally, I think my next day off is Saturday. And then the next day off I have after that is Christmas Day. So my Christmas will start at 9 PM Christmas Eve.
Right. So yeah, I mean, I guess that's true for a lot of people. By the time this airs, I won't be in England anymore, so I'll be out of the country, and this is actually going to be airing on Christmas Day in Hungary because Christmas Eve is kind of Christmas Day. So, in the way they do things, they celebrate at night on Christmas Eve. So yeah, it's but I mean, into the lead up to this, it's been work and loads to do and everything else. But I'm finding myself I'm actually able to after work, I can come home and I can put a Christmas movie on and stuff. And this year more than any other year, I've actually been able to feel Christmassy, which is the first time in a long time that's actually happened for me. Before Christmas, I've actually been able to feel a bit Christmassy, which I've kind of liked. So I've actually been able to experience some of the lead up to Christmas this year, which is cool. But every other year, I guess it's just kind of just hit me on Christmas Day that, oh shit, it's Christmas kind of thing, you know. Before that, in the lead up to Christmas, I've not been able to kind of get into it. And this year, I guess, more so than other years I have. And I don't know if it's because, I don't know really. I have no idea why, but I think it's probably down to the fact that I've been reading some Christmassy comics, and when I come home, we've been making a point, me and Sophie have been making a point of watching Christmas films. So when we come home from work, we'll put something on the TV, we'll put on Home Alone or something like that, and we've already watched loads of Christmas films this year. Just, to try and remind ourselves that it is that time of year, to try and make ourselves feel better, try and make me, obviously this is me doing this to try and make myself feel better as well. Because, I'm not always great at being happy, I guess is the best way to put it. I sometimes struggle a little bit, so it's good to have the Christmas films and everything else because they kind of bring you out of that. Especially when I've been to work, because I get really stressed out and everything else, and it's good to have that and be able to come home and do that. And it's going to be nice to have the break over Christmas.
Yeah, it sounds like to be really nice.
Yeah, what are you guys' plans over Christmas?
My original plan was to sort of split Christmas up and spend Christmas at home with my girlfriend Dion, and then a couple of days later go and see my family, go and see my mum and my brothers. But as a consequence of work shifts and everyone's sort of plans and everything not being able to align, we've had to sort of condense everything together. So we're going to sort of pack up all our presents, head over to my mum's house, and spend Christmas and Boxing Day there after work finishes on Christmas Eve, and then get home Boxing Day evening because every single one of us has work on the 27th. So it's going to be a very condensed Christmas.
That does sound like it. Pressed into a cube of Christmas.
It's going to be like a Christmas shot. No time to savour the flavour.
Leon, you got any plans over Christmas at all?
Main plans are just to chill at home with the fam. Hoping to do like a more old school style Christmas, where, especially with the new Smash Brothers game that has come out, to get some hardcore local multiplayer going again, and rekindling some of the old rivalries, as well as doing some more general family stuff, like getting the board games and Jackbox open and stuff, as well as consuming inhuman amounts of food. So, those are pretty much my plans. I'm not going anywhere. I've got the whole time off work. And I might be in between New Year's and Christmas, might visit some friends, but otherwise, I've got my plans are to stay in and warm.
So there is reasoning for my 3 p.m. Christmas Eve thing, because I have fond memories of being a kid and my grandma saying that Christmas starts when the shops close on Christmas Eve. So 3 p.m. Christmas Eve is kind of like that's when everything starts to wind down, or when everything used to start winding down before everyone started working shifts and everything else, like I had done. But that was when everything used to start winding down, and that's I have fond memories of things winding down from about 3 p.m. onwards. People would probably start leaving work early on Christmas Eve. My mum might come home early, my dad might come home early, and there's this whole thing, my grandma would buy boxes and boxes of chocolates and things like that, and she'd be they'd all be laid out, but you weren't allowed, because we would go around to my grandmother's house sometimes on Christmas Eve, and you wouldn't be allowed to touch the chocolates until 5 o'clock on Christmas Eve. So that's my reasoning behind that, because that's when, for me, Christmas, I mean, obviously it begins at different times for different people, and a lot of you are probably sadly going to have to work a lot of the holiday, kind of like Marv, where he's got Christmas Day off, but he's going to have to work straight after and things like that, which isn't always fun. And people that work retail will be having a tough time, because I've worked retail over Christmas and I know what that's like. And it's just that's my reasoning behind the 3 p.m. thing anyway. But Christmas kind of winds down. That's when, for me, in my head, even though I try to carry that on, so even though I might be working at that time some years, I mean this year I'm not, but even though I have been working at that time or working late on Christmas Eve and things like that, I kind of carry it in my head still that Christmas kind of starts at that time, and that's when things should start winding down, and that kind of helps me deal with it a little bit, I guess. When I have been working shifts and stuff. But anyway, hopefully we're going to be helping you get into the Christmas spirit by going through some of these Christmas comics that we've picked up for this year. So I will kick this off by introducing the first comic. So the first comic we have is DC's Nuclear Winter Special, which is an 80-page book. And it's the front cover is a bunch of DC characters looking pretty post-apocalyptic. You've got Wonder Woman carrying a giant kangaroo on her back that's kind of on a spit, ready to roast it for whatever, for their post-apocalyptic Christmas. You've got some smashed up buildings, Commandy's there in the background. You've got Batman lighting a fire, wearing a gas mask. And it actually says on the front here, 10 cataclysmic carols. So, I mean, guys, first impressions of the book. What did you guys reckon when you picked this up?
I really enjoyed it, actually. First impressions, literally, the first impression was laughter, because literally you open up the book and the first frame in the background, you've got not Google, you've got Oogle owning everything. And then a little further into the story, it's we can eat him now, so say the terms and conditions. So that really got me, that got me giggling. But a lot of the stories obviously that follow are really good. I did actually enjoy a lot of it.
Yeah. So yeah, like you were saying, it's like there's this like overarching story theme thing, this like post-apocalypse, where the world's gone mad, and this guy is he's telling stories. This is like Rip Hunter. He's telling stories to people who are living through this to try and remind them that Christmas exists. You know, to try and remind them that there is hope and there's still hope and there's still love and everything, and it you know, we don't have to forget about these things, and all of these stories have a common theme of the fact that no matter what's happening, I talked about this a little bit last episode, but no matter what's happening, there's still love and hope in the world, and we shouldn't forget that. And it's quite a powerful message, really, especially in 2018 with all the hate and violence and general bad stuff that's happened this year, and made this year feel so damn long, and with all the current anxiety about climate change and the inability of the world to accept that and do anything about it because old white men with grey hair like money and oil. It's been hard to stay positive, but it's been hard to enjoy things. But this is kind of like a caricature of that. It's like, so what if the world's gone to hell? We can still, for one day a year, we can still remember that, we can still have hope and we can still have love and we can still have Christmas. And that's kind of like the overarching theme in the book. So I don't know about you guys, but my favourite stories were the one with the nuclear family and Firestorm. I like the Batman 666 story at the very start, and I like Catwoman. So yeah.
No, sorry, go on. I was
going to ask Leon, like, you got what was your sort of like overall take on this book?
Yeah, like a lot of these things, it was hit and miss for me in some portions. I thought the bookending narrative of Rip Hunter was pretty funny and quite an effective, if like convenient and a slightly clunky way to bridge all these stories together. But I thought it served its purpose, and it was like interesting to go from story to story, and you get like you have a general overall theme, as you say, but the tones, just like the writers and artists, change from story to story. So I personally, one of my favorites probably would be the Catwoman 9 Lives one as well. I thought that was for the length of the story that it is. I think it was. It didn't feel too sort of lame and candy coated in terms of its message, but it was nice to see like Selena Kyle in that type of role. Shepherding a character and having her like sort of, I don't know what's the word, is it cold or like survival head on? It goes that tried and true way of having someone else manage to get the main character to sort of take stock and step back a little bit and remember what days were like before the disaster and how like we don't need to lose our humanity even when the nuclear winter or basically like all these stories, even when we're at the end of the world, there's no reason we don't need to give up hope, and there's still think like it still counts a lot to be a nice person and help other people. It still counts a lot to work together to achieve a goal, and giving up and becoming sort of nihilistic in the end and survivalist will help you survive to a degree, but it won't sustain you. And in reality, it's more like a route to doom. So I thought that was really good. I really like the way the characters are rendered, and I think it gets to the point of what it's trying to do quite effectively, I found. Yeah,
the Catwoman 9 Lives story is one of my favourites. And Warmth, Batman 666 in Warmth as well. I like that one for the fact that A, it's Batman, and B, it's I don't know. It's quite.
Yeah, because that one as well, it tying into this general overarching theme, this does it in a slightly different way in terms of like grudges and the holding on to traumas from the past and fighting fights and fighting wars just because, like holding on to the things you can't change type thing.
Yeah,
I did like it. Again, I know we're all dancing around an issue with this story, but I did like that for those themes that you mentioned, Leon. For the characters that are involved in this story, I think that the story dances around their relationship really, really well and has that sort of juxtaposition of old, long-standing grudges, but also sort of the theme of bonds and family, and it does it really, really, really well.
Yeah, it's good. And in the end, they're both, like they sort of like put aside their grudge kind of thing, which is kind of cool. The Firestorm story, I think, is probably the best one in the book. Would you agree?
I would say it's a tie for me 3 ways between that story, because it got better as I read it. I started off mildly uninterested in it, and by the end, I was like, this is really, really good. It's a tie between that one, the Batman 666, and well, I guess it's not really a spoiler because the reveal happens during the story, but and the Supergirl story. I really like that Supergirl story.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the Firestorm story, Last Christmas. I think mainly because it's Paul Dini writing it. I think that's why I get on with it really well. But it's just, yeah, I just like the whole idea of it and the nuclear family as bad guys. I think because they're not really villains, but at the same time they are. And I just like the whole styling of it and the way it works, and like they just want their one last Christmas present and everything else. I just thought it was really cool. Yeah, and I really sort of got on with that. And yeah, I really like the artwork in that story as well. I like this kind of like fine sort of like old school comic style artwork that they've got going on.
One story that surprised me by how much it got me to like it by the end of it was the Aquaman story. Because it's sort of literally, finding hope in the darkness, sparking that little kindling that spark of hope, I should say. Yeah. Really well done. Really well done.
Definitely. But yeah, I mean, the general message throughout the book is really good, and I think for this year, I think this is probably like it's a really good message to have out there, and it's a really good collection of stories for Christmas for this year. So, guys, did it do the job? Did it get you feeling Christmassy?
I would definitely say yes. Again, because so many of the stories have these underlying themes of sort of family and togetherness and sort of overcoming what might be a sense of doom. It did its job well. It did do its job well.
Leon, did it do its job?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's easy to be cynical with these. Like, even just like when you get the front cover and you're like, what are these annuals? Who are these really for? Are they just for like mega fans to have another thing to pull at the end of the year type thing? Like just an extra comic featuring your favorite characters. But I do like them using this as an opportunity to deal with some shorter form stories, to get a collection of different writers and artists working together, and to have a general thesis, to have a general intent with what they want to say. It isn't just like this character dances with a snowman and this other character has to take over for Santa because they accidentally knocked out Santa with their powers or something like that. But the fact that it's a lot of stories of people overcoming adversity and just keeping on, like the Supergirl story. I think they're quite effective in that, and they managed to make me less cynical about the endeavor on the way out than I was going in.
Yeah, for sure. So that is DC's Nuclear Winter Special, and that is edited by Alex Antone and Dave Volgosh. Its cover is by Yannick Paquette and Nathan Fairburn. We've got so many credits for the so many different stories in this. I mean, I'll read a few out. So the ones that we've mentioned in the cast, the ones that we've talked about, we've got Batman 666 in Warmth, and that was written by Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing, and we had pencils by Giuseppe Camuncoli, inks by Cam Smith. Romualdo Ferrado Jr. did colours, and Clayton Cowles on letters. We had Firestorm in Last Christmas, which was written by Paul Dini. Jerry Ordway is the artist there, Dave McCaig on colours, and Dave Sharp on letters. Catwoman in 9 Lives, which was Cecile Castellucci as the writer, Aman K. Nelapan as artist, Brian Bucalato in colours, and Josh Reed on letters. And then Supergirl in Last Daughters, which is Tom Taylor writer, Tom Dernick doing breakdowns, Yasmin Putri line art and colours, and Darren Bennett on letters. And the overall sort of like overarching tale, which we've mentioned, which is Rip Hunter, Time Master in the Nuclear Winter Special, was Mark Russell on writer, Mike Norton's the artist, High Five for colours, and Darren Bennett for letters. So yeah, that was DC's Nuclear Winter Special, and I guess that moves on to our second book, which is the Marvel offering that I've managed to grab, which is the Merry X-Men Holiday Special. Now, I think this one was a bit of a bone of contention, because when I first mentioned it last episode, Rahul expressed a little bit of disdain at the idea of having to read this. I don't know, how did you guys feel on first impressions, like with this book?
Well, first impressions, I liked it. It was just a thing of, because I haven't dipped into the X-Men for so long, there were a few characters where I kind of didn't know either who they were or what their relationships were, or how their relationships have progressed. I mean, there's a really nice Gambit and Rogue story, but I'm not sure where they are in their relationship. So it was really cute as a standalone thing, but I didn't know the bigger context for it, which you don't really need for the story, to be fair. But yeah, I think because it is a series of like one-page stories, and I mean that's an achievement in and of itself, because some of them are really, really good, considering that they have, such a limited amount of panels to do it in. I think each story, or at least the majority of the stories, really do what they set out to do fairly well.
Yeah, it's a cool experiment in single-page stories, and I liked it. My favourite scene, it's just like, I mean, like you said, I don't know an awful lot about current X-Men. It's been a while since I've read an X book. I've not read any current X books, that's for sure. But I like this whole like one-page tales thing, and how the book manages to sort of like it kind of it's like a feat in itself, like you said, that the artists and writers have come together and been able to cram so much into a single page a lot of the time. And when you think back about these stories without the book in front of you, they feel like they should be more than one page, don't they?
Yeah.
So, I mean, which cover did you get? Because the cover I've got has got like all the X-Men at some kind of Christmas party. And it's very colourful and very bright and very festive. And it's got Cyclops and Dazzler kind of like front and centre. Dazzler's wearing a Santa outfit, and she's got like a microphone, so like as if she's going to do some karaoke. Wolverine looks ridiculously young in this cover. But yeah, and you got Rogue and Gambit towards the back with Colossus as well, and it's just cute. I just like it. And you've got Nightcrawler just like zipping around the entire cover. But yeah, it's a very cute, very nice, very festive cover, very Christmassy looking. Which one did you end up with there, Marv?
The cover that I got was it's the one with it's either a young Jean Grey or an old Hope Summers sitting with a giant cup of coffee and clinking with Rogue, who's drinking a similar cup of coffee, with Gambit leaning on her back.
Yeah, that's the one I've got.
The ski resort one.
Yeah. Where in the back you've got So
Jubilee.
You've got Jubilee, Iceman, Nightcrawler, and Storm.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the one you've got as well, is it, Leon?
Yeah, that's the one I've got as well.
What was your kind of like overall impression here of this book then as well? So,
well, yeah, going in again, it's like it's a holiday special book, so I'm just like, okay, what's going to be the purpose? How are they gonna do this? And I like the cover that I've got, the one that we've described. I quite like it. It looks, I don't know, there's something quite calming about it, and you've got like the holly leaves at the top, and just those two clinking mugs, I should say. It's so I don't know.
It's super cozy. It's cozy.
Yeah. And then finding out the conceit is like 1-page comics. I was like, what? Basically a calendar going through December. I was like, what? How are they going to do this? And it starts off with like a Jubilee story, and that's a story that which is done by written by Chris Sims and Chad Bowers, and art done by Marco Filer, and the color art done by Israel Silva. And that's something that's a recurring story that sort of
the through line.
Yeah, it's like running through the whole book as thematically, but also on different levels, like tying the book together. And yeah, again with these things, I always find it's some really work for me and some don't. But I was always impressed by how they were able to do what they needed to in a page. So like in the December 2nd one, which is Kitty Pryde and Never Again. That one's it's written by Chris Claremont, who is the GOAT, and the art's done by Terry Dodson and Rachel Dodson, also really good. And the color art's done by Chris Sotomayor. And this one is nuts because straight off the bat, after the first Jubilee one, they have 1 page and they decide to use a splash page.
But they do it really well.
Yeah. I mean, it does end up in the service of that having to use loads of text boxes.
Yeah.
But I think it is fairly efficient for what it's trying to do. But then that leads me in, as you go throughout the comic, to the issue you two have both brought up, where I think with the DC one, because it was like this whole nuclear winter thing, it just feels like, okay, this is a future version of this character, this is the latest incarnation of this character,
Yeah.
With this one, it's really hard because again, like you guys, like I'm a Claremont boy. Like my X-Men is in the 80s. So and obviously I read some 90s stuff, but like noughties and recently, I've got no idea what's going on with the X-Men. So like I know bits and pieces just from osmosis, but
yeah,
there's so many things and characters who've been brought back. I'm just like, this would be super resonant with me, I can tell, but I've got no connection with the characters, and unfortunately the 1-page format isn't enough to pull me through and connect those dots for me. So some, I'm like, I know this is meant to be touching, and it's cool to see, but it just leaves me cold.
Yeah. I mean, I know enough about the characters and everything to be able to enjoy the book, and I know like it's yeah, I get where you're coming from though, but I don't think that can be a fair assessment by us being because I think you do have to have I think if you are a massive X-Men fan and you've been following the recent X-Men books, then yeah, you will get on with this completely. But I think in assessing it in its Christmassiness, I think it does that job very well. It's very seasonal, it's very holiday, and I think it does convey the spirit very well. And it's a nice kind of it's a nice way to try and kick back and get into the spirit of giving and everything else by looking through. I mean, some of these stories are great at conveying that and getting that across, and I think it's really good. And again, it's a good thing to have this year. With the overarching theme of this podcast and most of the stories that we've been reading being that, you know, even after the type of year we've had, with 2018 being the year it's been, we're still able to, you know, not losing hope, still being able to have Christmas in the face of all the bad news we're getting and everything else, you know what I mean? So, yeah, it's really cool for that.
Yeah.
And yeah,
I was just going to say one notable thing that I noticed is some of the writers on this. So, like, there's 3 writers that I noticed who are like connected to like hip hop. You have the rapper Jean Grey. You have the rapper Styles P, and then you have the host of the Breakfast Club, which is a hip hop radio show, Charlemagne the God. And I had no idea about that, so it was interesting to see how them tackle. They're all doing writing. Them tackle certain stories and certain characters.
Yeah, that was cool. My favourite stories in this one were Hot Claws for Hanukkah, which is the Wolverine tale. Dreaming of a Wade Christmas, which was the Deadpool and Jean Grey one. I thought that was pretty funny. Just for its sheer weirdness. I liked the Gambit and Rogue story because it's really close to home. Because I have 2 cats, and I have experienced this. So yes, Christmas Catastrophe. Definitely. And I also liked the Giving Season, which was the Beast story in Dr. Nemesis, because I have experienced this as well. Or, well, something similar to this, where you go to give someone a present and someone's already upstaged you. So, which was I mean, I know that's not the point, but and we all know that's not the point, but it's still super irritating, right?
Yeah.
Marv, did you have any favourites?
Yeah, I had what would I say? 3, 4. So, Dreaming of a Wade Christmas was my first favorite as I was going through it, because, like you said, I just love the fact that it's so absurd.
Yeah,
typical breaking the fourth wall. But it's done so well, and it feels very Christmassy in its odd Deadpool way.
Yeah.
I liked the other Beast story, Blue Christmas.
Yeah.
Just because it has that sort of thing of, coming home, big family Christmas, people might have different political opinions from you and everything, but everyone's around the table trying to make the best of it.
Yeah.
That one's brutal.
Yeah.
Oh, that one, yeah, that one, yeah.
Yeah, brutal, utterly brutal.
Yeah.
There was the Magneto one, and I'm frantically scrolling through trying to find the name of it, but the one where the kids are talking about Hanukkah and Magneto's just like really sort of despondent about it, and he kind of is forced to reevaluate, finding hope, even though, he's sort of the Malcolm X, by any means necessary. It's like, we have to sort of take appreciation for what we're fighting for.
Yeah. Definitely.
And the Storm story as well, I liked it just because it found a way to sort of seed in a little bit of topical Trump stuff with the guy referring to Wakanda as a shithole country. And
yeah, that was good. I like that one. I think the gift that keeps on giving is really good, because that references like a really early X-Men book. It references the X-Men King Size Annual. X-Men King Size Annual number 4, where Wolverine gets Nightcrawler a picture of his face for Christmas. So in this book, Nightcrawler buys Wolverine a picture of his face, which I thought was kind of fun. I like that one. I like Chip Zdarsky's writing as well. So yeah,
it's funny that it's Old Man Logan as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, we've got like a whole host of credits for this book. I'll just go through the ones that we've kind of mentioned. So, Christmas Jeer is the Storm story that you were talking about, and that was script by Charlemagne the God, art by Aletha E. Martinez, and colours by J. David Ramos. The Magneto story, The Impossible Enemy, script by Cullen Bunn, art Roland Bosch, and colour art by Dan Brown. We've got the... I'm just flicking through the book looking for the credits, because they don't put all the credits in one page. It's at the top of each page. So Dreaming of a Wade Christmas, which is Jean Grey and Deadpool. And that is script Jean Grey. Art Sean Crystal, and colour art by Rico Renzi. Hot Claws for Hanukkah is script by Charles Soule, art by Ryan Brown, and colour art by Jordan Boyd. And I guess you can see why I like this one, because Charles Soule and Ryan Brown, they're you guys for curse words. Yeah. The overarching story with Jubilee is in several one-page stories, but it's like one story that's like a narrative that follows throughout the book. You've got various people working on that. Never Again, which is the story that Leon talked about, which was Chris Claremont, Terry Dodson, Rachel Dodson, and Chris Sotomayor. So yeah, overall it's... can
I just also shout out The Longest Night?
Yeah, go ahead.
One of the ones that goes against one of the criticisms about, I don't know what the hell people are doing, is the Hope Summers story, which is The Longest Night, written by Tini Howard, art done by Brent Schoonover, and colour art done by Chris O'Halloran.
Yeah.
And that one, I think, is really effective because I know enough about those characters, how them watching that video on the phone is just brutal.
Yeah.
And I think that's really effective.
Yeah. Christmas...
It's about, like, hope and, like, keeping on. So I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, that one is really good. That Longest Night one. And Christmas Catastrophe, which is Rogan Gambit, which was Kelly Thompson, David Lopez, and Chris Sotomayor. And it's too close to home. I'm going to turn the page very quickly. The Naughty List, which is one... I mean, we haven't talked about it, but it's another good one, and it's one that I really liked. It was Domino in The Naughty List, which was Anthony Piper wrote that one.
That one was actually really good, yeah.
Art, colour and script, yeah. But yeah, that is the X-Men Holiday Special, so yeah, I thought that one was really nice. And did it do its job? Did it get you into the Christmas spirit?
I would say so. I think even though I think I had a better time with the DC one because, like we said, familiarity with the characters, the fact that because it was post-apocalyptic, it's kind of they're their own stories. You don't really need context, even if you don't know much about the characters. It was easier to get into. I think the X-Men one did better with the format of the short stories. So I think they both did really well. Getting you in the Christmas spirit, sort of going through some of the issues that you face over the holiday season. I think the X-Men one was probably the better of the two, even though I enjoyed the DC one better. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, DC one with its message of hope, and the X-Men one with its familiarity and relatability. I think in the way that it tells the stories and the way that it kind of like gives you the Christmas feeling. And
also because you're getting like a new creative team nearly every page, it does shake things up. So if there's a particular story which feels kind of slight, the next story is usually something else to chew into. And
it's got momentum. It's got momentum that it keeps the momentum going as well, which is nice. And it never feels like a trudge because, like you said, it's all single pages. And I think it's an achievement, actually. 25 single page stories. So yeah, good going. Last book on the list. Now this one's going on the naughty list, I think. Yeah. Because this one is kind of like the one that I was least enamoured with out of the Christmas specials that I chose for you guys to read. And I'm kind of disappointed because previous Hellboy holiday specials have been really good. Like previous Hellboy winter specials, like the ones we read last year and everything, they were really cool. Like, so, yeah, I want to impress with this one. Kind of sad about the fact that I want to impress with it. But this was the Hellboy Winter Special 2018. Now, I will preface this by saying that if you are a Hellboy fan and you've been keeping up with the Hellboy comics, then you will love this because there's some stuff in here which is continuations of previous Hellboy storylines. But for the most part, for me, it just kind of felt like the holidays had been shoehorned into something that already existed. Like they'd already written these stories to use elsewhere, and they just thought, I'll just put a Christmas tree in the corner. You know, like it didn't feel like it was celebrating Christmas or the holidays as these other books have. But this one is so the Hellboy Winter Special. We've got Mike Mignola, Ben Stenbeck, Gabriel Barr, Fabio Moon, Tonic Tronic, and Dave Stewart all working on this. So the 3 stories here, we've got Happy New Year, Ava Galucci, which is a story by Mike Mignola, art by Ben Stenbeck, and colours by Dave Stewart. We've got Lost Ones, which is story and art by Gabriel Barr and Fabio Moon, colours by Dave Stewart, and The Empty Chair, which is story, art, and colours by Tonic Tronic, and Letters Throughout by Clem Robbins. So, the first story in this is like kind of takes place at New Year, and it's like a New Year's seance. And I kind of liked it. You know, it's like I like my horror stories and things like that, so it's kind of cool. And I kind of enjoyed it, but at the same time, it just fell flat for me as a holiday story. I don't know if you guys feel the same.
Yeah, I mean, spoilers, but I mean, all 3 of the stories, I mean, more so the first one because it is a really good horror story. I think all 3 of the stories would work better if it was a Hellboy, like, Halloween special or something. Yeah. But as a holiday special, none of them really hit that sort of Christmas holiday vibe. Like, the Seance story, the New Year Seance story was a really good story in and of itself, but didn't really feel in any way Christmassy.
Well, that's the thing, and that's why I think they've named it the Winter Special. I think it's a way for them to have a like collection of stories out around Christmas time, but I don't think they wanted to do like holiday stories, so it does feel more generic. It's just cold and wintry. There's lots of snow, but because of that, you don't really. It does. I know it probably wasn't, but it does feel just like just releasing one for the sake of it.
Yeah, I mean the previous Hellboy Winter Specials have been better than this, and have been better at doing this, because the previous ones weren't particularly like hard on the holiday theme, but I think they were better than this one. I mean, I'm not saying this is a bad comic by any means. It's still wonderfully crafted, and you know, if it were a Hellboy comic released in any other way, or if these were Hellboy stories released in any other way, they'd be amazing. But it's just the fact that they've released it as a winter special, and you have the expectation of holiday stories going into it. And although it's kind of there as a theme, it's also kind of not there at the same time, as in, you know, compared to the other 2, I think it's a little bit of a come down. I mean, I'm not saying it's a terrible comic by any means. It's great, and go out and read it. But what I'm saying is it's not as good at doing what the other 2 are doing, at being a holiday book or being a winter special. But it's still very good.
Yeah, because there's while it is my least favourite to read out of the 3, there are some cool things going on in these stories. Yeah, but I always have a weird thing with this. Even though like the winter specials last year, I would agree were better. There's always a thing, especially with that first story that you get in them. It always feels incomplete to me, like it's too slight. Yeah, and I always feel like it's missing an end, and it's like, is there a part 2 coming or something? And I had that a lot last year with that one, and I definitely have it more so with this one, especially that first story. It just ends abruptly, like there should be a second part. Whereas the last story, The Empty Chair, and I guess the second story as well, they do feel like they have natural ends. But one of the issues is that, and you had this with last year's one as well, like Hellboy as a character is fully sidelined.
Yeah, and it feels like I keep coming back to it. Just feels like the holidays are an afterthought. But
just winter, man. It's cold.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's good still. It's still good. It just wasn't as good as the others. But I mean, there's some great moments in it. Some great scenes. Some great panels. I particularly enjoy the art in the final story, the lobster one. Yeah. I actually, that was, of the 3, that was probably my favourite. Because it just felt like a Batman story. I mean, I don't know an awful lot about the lobster. I have to admit, I'm not massively up on Hellboy or anything, which might also have a bearing on my opinion. I might be biased not being hugely up on Hellboy, it being something that's been on my list for a long, long time. And I'm ashamed about the fact that I've not read more of it. But yeah, the Lobster Tale was great because it feels like a Batman story. I think that was what sold that for me.
Even looks like a Batman story. Like
yeah.
Like the art style looks like does harken back to, I'm not sure which decade, maybe early 90s or something. It depends on the artist anyway, but I did sort of feel taken back in time a bit. Like, you know, when you used to get like the big annuals and they were hardback and you'd be flipping through stories. It kind of reminds me of that.
Yeah,
definitely. But I mean, it was a great book, but unfortunately just missed the mark for me as far as, you know, something to help me deal and get into the Christmas spirit.
Yeah, read it in the new year, guys.
Yeah, read it in the new year, yeah. But I mean, as far as the theme of the show goes, to you know, like getting into the Christmas spirit when it has been a tough year, which 2018 has, I assume, for a lot of people. It's yeah, I mean, I think the best one, actually, like the surprise best one, coming back to it, is probably the X-Men one, I think.
Yeah,
because it's the happiest. I mean, the DC one's great as well, and it has a great message. But I think, I mean, did I already say that I liked the DC one best at the start? I can't remember if I said that or not. Because if I did, I'm changing my mind. So yeah, those have been our chosen winter specials for 2018. So yeah, I mean, like we said, advice is read the Hellboy one in the new year because you will still enjoy it as a great comic. And to be fair, the only holiday story in there is the New Year story. So, but yeah, it's great. So, and read the other two if you can, like before Christmas, because they will get you into the Christmas spirit. But I guess that finishes us up talking about comics, unless anyone else has got anything left to say.
No, I think that about covers it.
Yeah, so that moves us on to the quiz. So any of you who listened to the Christmas special last year, you may remember that I did a Christmas quiz, and this was called Greg's Regrettable Christmas Quiz. And if you remember last year, it was a hard-fought battle. It came down to a final question, and Leon was the champion.
Apparently.
Leon doesn't remember any of this, but it's true because I went back and listened to it.
I'm happy that I won.
Yeah, do you know how you won? Because
I don't remember.
You knew who Adam X was.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Your shameful secret of 90s X-Men comics.
It came in handy in the end. I didn't suffer for no reason.
So, what we're doing is we have a list of regrettable superheroes. Some are real, published, badly conceived, failed characters. Others are complete fabrications by me. I will read the name of a character aloud, and you two must tell me if they are real or fabricated fakes. So I will take an answer from each of you when I read it aloud, and I will assign points to whoever is correct. So, the first one that I'm going to read you. Brother Power and the Geek. Is that a real one? Is it regrettable or is it false? Leon.
I'm going to go with real.
Marv?
I don't want to be given the same answers all the time, but it does sound like it would be regrettably real.
You're both correct.
Oh, yeah.
It was a DC book and something to do with hippies dressing a mannequin that got struck by lightning and came to life, and it's now a Frankenstein-style thing. It only lasted like 2 issues. I think DC had it cancelled for being like hippie-friendly or something, I don't know. But
it sounds like, you know, when, not to derail the quiz, but quickly, you know when they used to do those things where they used to package like loads of like 5 comics in one, and you just pick up a thing for like £1 and you get 5 random comics and you discover weird stuff. It feels like you'd get one of those in those.
Yeah, it was ill conceived, but the character still turns up in DC books from now and again, which is weird. Yeah,
no one dies in DC.
Yeah, it's funny. The names. The first thing that jumped in my head was the old cartoon Rude Dog and the Dweebs.
So, On to the second one. So it's one apiece right now. So the second one is the ferret. Is that a real one or is that regrettable? Marv, you're first.
I'm going to say that it's not real.
Leon?
It's tough because you think like there's gotta be one of these and everything. But I think the ferret is too close to the name of another sort of mammally, rodent-y, whatever based thing. So I'm gonna stay on the path with Marv and say false.
It's real.
What?
Oh my god!
The quote under the name of the ferret in the My Regrettable Heroes book is, "The ferret, a rat will never get the ferret." So, the ferret was originally a Golden Age character, was revived
Of course.
in the 90s by Malibu. Do you remember Malibu Comics?
Vaguely.
Like,
Name
really,
the bell.
really hyper 90s stuff, like the early days of Image kind of stuff.
Hmm.
And in the 90s, he had a run of covers. Like, there's a cover where he's got a speech bubble that says, "Everybody dies, sweetheart." And he's looking pretty fierce. Yeah, in the 90s, this is like this whole gimmick covers thing that was going on with like holographic covers and things like that. Well, the ferret has a cover that's die cut to the shape of his face. There is a comic die cut to the shape of his face. Like, one edge of the comic is like the contours of the side of his head. So, yeah, the ferret. And he's real. And he looks like a kind of a cross between Sabretooth, like with the long blonde hair and stuff and the sharp teeth. Like a cross between Sabretooth and something Image pumped out. It's like, but yeah, so the ferret was real. And neither of you get a point for that one. So, next question. Tommy Target. Is he real or is he false? Is he regrettable or is he made up? Leon, you first.
I'm gonna go with fake as hell.
Marv?
I'm gonna go regrettable. I think it exists somewhere.
It's one I made up. So that was one of my many ones on my list that I made up.
It sounds like it could be real.
Yeah.
Next one. Skate Man, regrettable or false? Marv, you're first.
Skate Man. It seems so on the nose. False. I can't believe that they didn't. If it was from the 90s when skating had to be everywhere, I'm thinking there would be either an extreme or some kind of X in the name. It wouldn't just be Skate Man. I'm saying false.
Leon?
I'm gonna be like, I'm not gonna trust the 90s to not do this, so I'm gonna say regrettably real.
Skate Man's real, but he's not from the 90s.
Tell me he's not from 2017.
No. He's he's a Vietnam veteran who came home and decided that roller derby was the only thing that could help him deal with it. And ended up becoming a skate-wearing vigilante who kicks people's eyes out with his rollerblades.
Well, however you deal with your PTSD, you do you, man.
Something along
Exactly.
those lines, yeah. So, Leon.
It's an alternate reality Casey Jones.
Yeah. Leon, you
That's
got that
self-care.
one. His costume's rather silly as well, so...
Really? A guy called Skate Man?
I'd expect no less.
Yeah, so, Leon, you 3-1 up on Marv at the moment. So I'm gonna go and get your next question. So maggot, is maggot real or is maggot false? Is maggot regrettable or is maggot false? Marv, you first.
Maggot, real.
You say that with conviction.
I can imagine a comic book called Maggot.
Yeah, so can I. But It's almost too perfect. The maggot, like an MTV, the maggot.
That's exactly what I was thinking. It comes on straight after the head.
Yeah, the maggot. I'm gonna go false.
You're gonna go false?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Marv wins that one because the maggot's real. And he's one of the slew of new X-Men introduced in the 90s.
Of course.
And his power is that his body is like completely infested with parasites and stuff. That's like his mutant power.
Oh, delightful. He must be almost as popular with his friends as Skin.
It says here, Maggot, a mutant superhero whose power is being infested with parasites. Maggot finds that his abdomen plays host to a pair of squirmy worm-like creatures that consume matter and transfer the calories back to their host, who transforms it into prodigious muscle mass. Few mutants seem grosser, but then again, there you go. Maggot's real. So it's 3-2 to Leon. I'm going to give you another one now. The original and copy boy. Are they regrettable or are they false? Leon, you first.
The original and copy boy. I'm going to go with false.
Marv?
Yeah, I'm going to have to say false as well. I can't even begin to imagine
You
what that
you
would
both
be
get
like.
a point for that. That's one of mine. Swiftly on to the next question. The Laminatrix. Regrettable or false? We've lost Marv. So, Marv, you first.
As much as I want it to be real, I'm going to have to say false on this one.
Leon.
That's the worst thing. Like, unless you've heard of the character, any of these could be so legit.
Yeah.
But this one is almost too much. So I'm going to go false also.
Oh, it's real. No, sorry. No, it's not. It's not real. It's mine.
You almost give me a heart attack.
The Laminatrix, what? Yeah.
She worked in a Xerox factory until an awful accident changed her life forever.
She's just like forever shiny and like nothing sticks to her. Like,
yeah, she's got like the opposite of Rogue's problem. She can never have any intimacy because she can't physically touch anything. It just slides.
Tries to
off her.
pick up a cup and it just slides out of her hand. She's forever laminated. So we have. Okay, so it's now 5-4 to Leon. Next one. AAU Superstar. Regrettable or false?
Who's first?
Marv first.
I'm gonna roll the dice and say real.
Leon?
So it's AAU
Superstar.
Superstar.
Yes.
Spell this?
SHUPERSTAR.
This one's so dumb, it's real.
Yeah, it's real.
What
Trainers,
is the
man.
story?
Trainers. Superstar, get it?
Okay.
It's like something to do with shoes and selling trainers, I think. I can't find the page in the book right now, but yeah.
It feels like it was a cartoon.
No. Okay, so last one. Let's see, pick one off the list, a good one. Sandy Hourglass, always just in time. Real or false? Regrettable or made up? Leon, you first.
It's a Sandy Hourglass. I'm going to say false.
Marv?
I'm going to say real just because the name rings a bell. I don't know where I would have heard it or what I would have read or watched with it in, but it sounds real. It sounds like something I've heard before.
Oh, that's put you... It evens because Oh wait, no, it hasn't, because Leon got it right.
I didn't know we were playing Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Yeah, Leon got it. No, that's just me messing up my points, giving out points. Leon got that right, so Leon wins again. Leon is this year's champion and continues to be the champion of the regrettable quiz.
Undefeated.
So, like, some of the other, like, silly names I came up with on here, I've got things like Death Pouch and Skill Blast and The Taster and Paul Springer, the Human Slinky, and I had some real fun with this. But, like, some of the other real ones as well, like Ravage 2099 and Gunfire and The Ferret and 3D Man and Stardust the Super Wizard, Bozo the Iron Man, Captain Truth, Dr. Vampire.
Wasn't Ravage the character that was created that was the reason why Carnage was called Carnage? Because they couldn't get the rights to the name Ravage.
I don't know, but Ravage was also a Marvel character.
Yeah, I'm sure at the time that they wanted to create a new Venom and they came up with the character. Yeah. They wanted to call it Ravage, but they couldn't because there was a Ravage character already created.
He was an original creation to go with all the Marvel 2099 stuff. Like, he didn't have any, but he wasn't one of the ones that was like from a character that had been in the Marvel U previously. He was just like, but he was bad, terrible, awful. But yeah, so there we go. That was the regrettable quiz, and I guess that closes us out for 2018. So this is the last episode of Ace Comicals you will hear. So Happy New Year. And a Merry Christmas, and when we see you next, or when you hear us next, it will be 2019. So you can find us at www.acecomicals.com, which is the hub for everything. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, and Castro. You can find us on Twitter under Ace Comicals. You can find us on Instagram under Ace Comicals. You can find us on Facebook if you search for Ace Comicals. You can send us a question to the Ace Comicals Twitter account, or you can email us to acecomicals@gmail.com. You can find me under @Bato on Twitter. That's BATTOU. Marv, where can we find you?
On Twitter at Marvyn Lafayette. But again, as I said last episode, don't post very often, so better off looking for me on Instagram under Marv Lafayette 84.
And Leon, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Leon Everett. Happy New Year, guys.
Yeah, so that closes us out for 2018. So this is Ace Comicals. Over and out. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, whatever you're doing, be safe, enjoy yourselves. Yeah, I mean, however you celebrate the holidays, whatever holiday you're celebrating, have a great time.
And go and watch Spider-Man again.
Definitely.
Yes. Peace and goodwill to all.